Hi and welcome back to the Academy of Historical Fencing. I'm Nick Thomas. I'm bringing you a review on the Tod Cutler Dirk. Now, Tod Stuff, as the original company was, has been around for a long time, as far as I can remember. And Tod Stuff mostly makes medieval stuff and some sort of early Renaissance stuff, which is why, as much as I've kind of looked at his stand and handled loads of his stuff over the years, I haven't really bought any of them. And on top of that, his stuff is quite premium, if you like. It's expensive. And being as my specialisms tend to be with later period stuff, I've never got around to buying any of his. If you want to look at his swords and his daggers and stuff, for example, well, I tend to buy obviously later period antiques at the same price, so which is why I've never bought anything from him. But Tod Stuff has now got the Tod Cutler range, which is essentially the budget range from Tod Stuff. And as much as you might think, well, is it a budget range? Is it therefore going to be a bit cheap and crap? Well, you might wonder that. But anybody that's handled the Tod Cutler range knows that that's very much not the case. So my initial impression is the first time I saw the Cutler range, because I saw a whole table at an event and handled loads of it, was just, wow, the quality of this is epic and I have to have something of that range. And as a result, in fact, I didn't buy it for myself. I bought it as a present for Mike, actually, for his birthday, who's the other instructor who runs the club with me. And ever since then, I wanted some other stuff from them. I wanted a Dirk, because I never actually had a Scottish Dirk, because realistically, if you want a Dirk, you're kind of stuck with cheap tourist stuff or really high-end, really expensive sort of one-offs. And the exception to that would be things like the cold steel version, which is fine. But the point is that this Dirk from Tod Cutler is about the same price as the cold steel. So in the UK, this is £110, which is, I believe the cold steel one is roughly similar. And simply put, what you're getting with the Tod Cutler one is way better quality in terms of design, fit, finish, authenticity. The quality of it is just outstanding by comparison. So there's no reason to buy the cold steel one. So looking at it, it's £110. And the options are you can have it sharp or semi-sharp, and you can have it with 4 different colour scabbards. So you can see here that I've got the red one, which I think is rather snazzy, like that. And this is the sharp one. So it's described on the website as coming with basically a basic ground edge, but can require final hone-in by the owner. My experience looking at this is it's come really sharp. So pretty much every knife I've ever bought has been no real sharper than this. So yeah, you could hone it a bit if you want, but it is absolutely ready to go and really nice and sharp straight away. So that's quite nice. The size of it, it's a 15-inch blade, which for a Dirk is large. It's not inaccurate, but it is at the large end of the scale. They tend to average, historically speaking, more like around 12-inch. So it is a large Dirk. I kind of like that. Dirks are famous for being quite a beefy dagger, so I quite like having a rather large, meaty example. And the grip is nicely sized. Now, I have medium-sized hands, and I can fit it really, really comfortably. I think if you have slightly larger hands, you'll still be fine, but if you've got kind of XL hands, you might suffer with this grip. Historically speaking, you look at most knives and swords, they tend to have smaller and more cramped grips than people would necessarily think of today with modern swords. If you watch, say, any Vikings or similar series where they have massively oversized grips on everything. And yeah, so that's really nicely scaled. And I don't really have anything to complain about with this, which is the beauty of it. So I recently saw that Tod Cutler range has got another Dirk now, so it's an earlier style with a copper hilt, I believe it is, which is also very, very nice. But this is the sort of iconic Dirk that everyone thinks of, with the really thick spine on it. So people often say that they were made from sort of old sword blades, which seems logical. They may well have been, but either way, this is a common form of Dirk with a very broad blade, narrow fuller on the back, thick spine, and then it just tapers in the last sort of few inches to go into a really wicked point. It's sharpened along its whole front edge, nothing along the back there. And yeah, there's really nothing much to say about it. There's nothing to complain about. There's lots of good things to talk about. All the metalwork is really nicely done. The woodwork is. The fit of every component part is really quite excellent. So I'm very, very impressed. And the scabbard is nothing universal. It is clearly made for the Dirk itself, and the tooling on the leatherwork is really nice, and you can see it's shaped to match the kind of shape of the blade. So what do I think of it? I think it's awesome. If you want to get really high quality daggers of, you know, sort of 15th to the 17th century, you won't go wrong with the Cutler range. They are awesome. They're also polished to a really nice level, which I find quite interesting. So this really high level of polish, you don't actually see that often. I mean, like Armour Class, for example, does that. There are a few reenactment companies in the UK that do as well. So if you like really nicely shiny products, well, that's for you. I mean, you could always tone that down if you wanted to easily enough. But yeah, I don't have any complaints about it. It feels meaty without being excessive. It's 360 grams, which for a dagger, it's meaty without being monstrous. It doesn't feel unwieldy in any way. It feels nice. I think to the level you could actually do some fun test cutting with this, because of course it is a rather large knife or dagger. Yeah, so Tod Cutler. I've now handled probably 20 different products in their range, at least. They're eating knives, they're daggers, all kinds of things. I'm really, really impressed with it, because for people who can't afford the main Todd range, or people like me who, for this kind of stuff, it's a bit more fringe, it's not my core interest, it allows you to buy into it without having to, you know, sell a kidney to get it. So I'm very, very impressed. And what I would like to see is just a continued expansion of the Tod Cutler range, to be honest, because they're awesome. And if they ever get into making swords in the Cutler range, well, that will be absolutely epic. So yeah, I'll put the link in the description. If you are after a Dirk, or frankly, all sorts of other daggers, particularly medieval and going just into the Renaissance, if you're interested in some really high quality sharp daggers, reproductions, then you cannot go wrong with this Tod Cutler range. I am hugely impressed with it. And yeah, I just cannot fault it in any way whatsoever. So yeah, that's a review. It's a glowing review, and I think rightly so. And yeah, this was actually bought as a present for me, which is really nice. But it's a completely unbiased review because it is a really cool product, and I was going to be buying it whether it got bought as a present for me or not, because, you know, it is really nicely done. So yeah, there's the Tod Cutler Dirk. I suggest you check it out, and the rest of the range, because there's some really cool stuff in there, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and please do subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.